Hey guys, how we doing today? It's Wally with the Merida Review blog, and today I wanted to answer a question that a lot of you are thinking about, and it's cost. What is the cost of living here in Merida? What does it cost to rent a house or maybe like an apartment itself? These are questions that me and my wife thought about before we actually moved to Merida. If you guys are new here to this channel, hit the subscribe button, guys, right below, along with the bell, and that way any future videos that I upload, you'll be sure to receive them. So when it comes to renting like an apartment or a house, there are a few things that you want to think about, and I did take some notes that way I could deliver them to you guys in this video. If you don't know much about us, we decided to come here to Merida on vacation initially. In 2019, we came for like a week to celebrate our anniversary, had an amazing time, but it was very hot, and so we decided to come back the following year, 2022, but spend a month. And so we were really looking to check out not only different weather, like, you know, we didn't want to just experience like pure heat. It gets very hot here in Merida. That's something that you're going to experience once you move here and check things out. It's very, very hot, very humid, just about every day. And so anyway, we came here for like a month, and the goal was to check out Merida, the city itself. So we just took advantage of that month to really check out different areas, subdivisions, neighborhoods of Merida, and also to do some sightseeing and those things to really get a feel for the city itself. And of course, as you guys know, the pandemic hit, and you know, we decided to just stay home, save up, pay down debt, these kind of things. That way we could be ready to move when the pandemic was gone. So that's exactly what we did. Once the pandemic came and left, we geared up to move to Merida. So being that we were already experienced or exposed to Merida itself, we had more or less like an idea of what to expect upon moving. And so when it comes to like cost in general, for like apartments and like houses, there are a few things that you need to know up front. One, it's all about location, right? So you need to know up front like what's your budget, right? We need to talk about a budget, because if you don't know what your budget is, then you'll be a bit lost, right? So that was something that we had to do. We had to think about what was our budget, what was our max that we were willing to pay for any apartment that fit like our needs, right? What type of amenities are you looking for? Something that's very, very important here in Mexico that you may take for granted, we always get it, at least in the States, is that all of the houses, vast majority of the houses in the States, already come prepared with AC, central air. It's a given. It's something that most, if not all, houses already have. In Mexico, it's just the opposite. It's not a given that you will have AC or clima, as it's called here locally. This is one of the things that you absolutely need and you want, because again, from the summer months itself, it's always summer here, I should say, but like when it's really, really like hot here, and I'm talking like from the month of like May. I think May is probably like the hottest month that we've seen thus far, and so it's very hot, like 90s into the hundreds, like low hundreds like that. You definitely want a pool. I'm not saying you have to have a pool, but if you can find a place that has a pool, that's great. It's amazing, right? And so let's talk about costs, right? Because initially when we came here, like before we started like apartment hunting and that, we did an Airbnb, worked out, it was simple, and it had like 2 bedrooms, and it was great because we were just working from home, and it was just it was really nice, right? We didn't have to do much with that. And so we found like that with the cost of living here in general in Merida, you can find housing that may range from anywhere from say 5,000 pesos to 10,000 pesos and even higher. So what does that really translate to like in US dollars? Let's stick with US dollars. I'm not going to fool around with different currencies like Canadian and all of these others. But when you're talking about like 5,000 pesos, we're talking roughly about $250 US. Of course, with the current exchange rate, the market, the numbers are not that amazing, right? When I first came here to Merida back in 2019, as I mentioned before, at that time the conversion was something like $1 to 20 pesos. which was amazing. Now it's like 15 to the dollar. So the dollar itself is not as strong here. What that means is that you're paying more for your rent itself, essentially. So versus 5,000 pesos being $250, it's more like 280, more or less. You can check the numbers with any app, XE, any one of these conversion apps. You can check it out and you'll see more or less it's about $280. I've seen houses up to 10,000 pesos, and these are like houses with pools. It's very, very important, if you can fit it into your budget, to get a pool. 10,000 pesos right now is roughly like 580. It's a little under 600 US, more or less. Again, I'm not a mathematician. These numbers just don't pop up. It's just that you pay rent month after month, and these are the numbers that you're seeing, right? And so that's what you really want to think about. Now, if you're talking about amenities, because that's really where it's at. It's not only the location, but the amenities that you're looking for. Like in our case, our house here where we're at, we're paying 10,000 pesos. We really, really love it. It has 3 bedrooms. It's a really big place, upstairs, downstairs, really nice property, front and back. We have different like fruit trees that are here. They're papayas. We have lemon trees. It's a really, really nice property itself, and we absolutely love it. And this again is like in Las Americas. Las Americas is a subdivision in Merida itself, and a lot of the houses here you may see in the 8,000 to 10,000 range, more or less. They may go up to even 15,000 pesos itself. It really just depends on what you're getting, how many rooms, again, the amenities that you are looking for. And again, this is more or less what you'll see here, like in Merida itself. And this is just Las Americas. If you're in the central area, you may see somewhere in, like, I've seen some places, not all, maybe from 5 to about 10,000 pesos. Again, the place that we were staying before we moved to Las Americas, it was right in the heart of Merida itself, and there it was 14,000 pesos itself there. Now let's talk about the outskirts of Merida, because again, you can stay in Merida and it's great. It's really nice here. But if you want to get like something really cheap, but that's also nice, I've seen some housing, some like apartments and even houses that go as low as the equivalent of, say, like 100 US, which is roughly about 2,000 pesos, more or less, going up to about 3,000 pesos. So we're talking literally about 100, anywhere from like 100 to 300 dollars US itself, if that makes sense. So anywhere from like 1,000, you could say, like one friend that I'm thinking about who lives in this area called Uman, and you look that up. Uman is spelled U-M-A-N. I'll drop it right below that where you guys can check it out. Tons of houses, guys, that run like from maybe like 1,000 pesos, 1,500 pesos, and we're talking about $50 US, $75 US, 100 US on up. And so most people in the Uman area are paying a max of about 150, maybe $200. $200 would be like on the high end in the Uman area itself. Nice places. Again, you have to think about the amenities. So you might find a place that's cheap, right? You may do things on the cheap, and that's great, but you may lack with some amenities. A lot of these places may not come with clima, which is AC. You can install it if you want, which you're going to need it, right? But again, you have to think about that, right? So I think that here in Mexico, when you are renting places, the assumption is that once you rent a place, that if something breaks, goes wrong, that you fix it. In the States, typically when you rent an apartment or a house, something breaks or goes wrong, in most cases the owner of the property itself takes charge. They actually fix it, they repair it, and that's how it works, But here in Mexico, it's just the opposite. In most cases, not all, the actual renter upon entering into the rental agreement, is responsible for the repairs itself. And so if you don't want to do that, you may want to discuss that maybe, with the owner itself, if you're renting directly, like from the owner, or if you are going with like a rental company itself that's managing it. You just want to make sure that you understand how things work. If you guys want a good recommendation of a rental company that I trust and use, I'll drop it right below. That way you guys can contact them and find something that'll be more suitable for you. Something that I wanted to talk about that you want to know, as if you're going to be like a tourist, expat, you're going to be moving, to Merida and that. Typically when you rent like a house or an apartment in this case, there are typically like 4 different deposits that you're going to run into. You're going to have first and last, right? You're going to have a security deposit, and then you're going to have another deposit that's called an aval. So you will always be asked in Mexico for an aval. An aval would be the equivalent of somebody who is endorsing, or like a co-signer, if you will. So credit is not like a big deal here. At least I've never seen it to be a big deal. They don't really care about how great credit you have. Like in the States, you have great credit, you can get whatever you want. You have bad credit, things are more expensive. Here in Mexico, people don't really care about credit like with houses, and so you either have the money or you don't have the money. But if you are a foreigner, and that's from the US, Canada, wherever you're from, and you're not a citizen or resident, you will likely run into the aval situation. And so basically with that, you will have to hire a lawyer, or the lawyer itself will basically draw up the contract itself if the actual owner does not do it, right? And with this deal, you're paying for that. So basically the renter is responsible for these fees. Like in our case, we didn't have to worry about that, but these are some things that we learned along the way that of course I wanted to share with you guys. That way you're not surprised about how it really works when it comes to renting properties here in Mexico. I think in general it's a very simple, easy process. There's not a lot of red tape, if you will. But again, if you can, with rent itself, again, if you have rent and it equates to $500 US, and this is just a ballpark number, what it means is that you're going to be fronting about $2,000. So again, this is just a ballpark range. Of course, you can check online with different websites online. There are tons of them out here, that service the Merida area or maybe the outskirts, and you can just plug in your different amenities that you're looking for, like how many rooms you're looking for, your actual price range, all of these things. Of course, these realtors will give you a listing of different houses that fit that particular criteria. But again, if you guys want to know who I use or who I recommend, I'll be more than happy to give that to you guys. Just drop a comment right below and I'll be more than happy to share that with you. So these are some main things, guys, that I wanted to share with you in this video. Of course, there are a lot more things that you can consider. Again, think about location. Where is it that you really want to be? Do you want to be right in the heart of Merida? Do you want to be maybe in the outskirts? Do you want something that has a lot of amenities like you have maybe in the States or the country where you're coming from? All of these things really matter when it comes to finding the ideal apartment, the ideal property that you're looking for itself. I came across some really nice privadas. We actually live in a privada. Privada is like a gated community itself, and so they have these in different places in Merida and even in the outskirts of Merida. And this place called Uman, as I mentioned before, we have some friends that live there. There's a place called Gran Calzada, and you can check that out. What I'll do is I will drop that right below, and they have some really new developments that they are building over there, new buildings, new apartments and things like that are over there. And those run, I think the last time I checked, they were something in the 3,000 peso range, so maybe 3,000 to 5,000 peso range, more or less, give or take. Really inexpensive, very affordable, really quiet, laid back, area itself, and it's really family oriented. These neighborhoods, and so these are some things, guys, again, that I just wanted to mention. If there's anything else that comes up that I think you should know, I'll definitely drop a video. If you guys have any questions about, again, calls, how to go about finding, like an apartment or a house, here in Merida, go ahead and drop your comments right below, guys. I know it can be quite overwhelming, not only the idea of moving, but again, moving to like another country, right? And so I think that, like in 2019, 2020, we were exposed more to Merida, and we came with an understanding of what things are like, right? And so it was just a matter of just finding something that we were comfortable with, and that's what you really want. You want comfort, because if you're not comfortable, then you won't really make it home. Does that make sense? And so here in Mexico, I really love that, like the city in general is very safe. You can walk about in the city just about anywhere you want, any hour of the day itself, and it's very safe. And so it's not something that you have to overly worry about, like being maybe in the States or in other places itself. Yucatan is rated, I think it's rated like in the top 2 or 3 places, like the two to three safest places rather to be, like in Mexico. So basically anywhere that you situate yourself or that you decide to settle down, you can be rest assured that it's a very safe environment, for you and your family, guys. And so these are some of the things that I wanted to mention that just come to my mind, when it comes to like renting places. You can get places as less as $100 or even less, depending on where you're at, even up to, again, 10,000 pesos, 15,000 pesos, and even more. It really just breaks down to location and, how many amenities, different amenities that you guys really want, guys. And so anyway, that's my video. I know I talked about a lot of things. I hope that you guys found this video very helpful. If you did, I really appreciate you giving it a thumbs up, dropping a comment right below, subscribing to this channel, and that way you'll see future videos that I upload, guys. Have an amazing day. Much success on your move to Merida. I'll leave all the links right below for you guys. Take care.